All right. Hello, welcome to Research Development's Proposal Development Workshop. This is our 7th session on proposal graphics, planning and navigating for success. My name is Vince, and I have been working with proposal graphics for about 1.5 years now here at ASU's Knowledge Enterprise, where we strive to serve as a resource to prepare faculty to submit high quality and highly competitive proposals. Prior to my background consists of about 6 years working as a graphic designer in higher ed and private companies with a marketing focus. If you can please put in the chat when you hear the words proposal graphics, what do you think of? Feel free to list any emotions you may have as well when you hear those words. See, charts, stress, engaging, good one, costly, yep, clean. Visual representation of thoughts and ideas, beautiful images of cells and micros, explaining the data, my total lack of artistic confidence, all right? So I got kind of a mixed bag, playful, and hopefully after this presentation, you guys can feel a little more empowered, a little more knowledgeable on that topic, just so you're not so like stressful about it, and I can provide you the resources to be successful in your proposals. All right, so let's go ahead with the next slide. Okay, so here's an agenda just to keep things on track. We will have answers to why is it essential to bring in a designer on proposals? Why are graphics a good way to enhance a proposal? What qualities make graphics successful? Also, I'm going to show some examples to visually enhance proposal graphics. And then at the very end, we'll have some time for some questions you may have in the chat, and we'll turn the video off as well so you guys can not feel so, so you have some more privacy. All right. So first, here we discuss not only why is it essential, but also how to hire talent. This may be a new process for you to hire specialized creative talent to be a great asset in your proposal. How to hire talent. So hiring talent can be difficult, especially with a specialized skill. Sometimes we need specialized knowledge or experience to uplift our proposals onto the next competitive level. In research development, we work with a variety of external partners who augment our team's skill sets. We regularly share this information with anyone who asks. Be certain of how much you want to spend on consultation. Hourly and project rates vary. It's in your best interest to be very specific regarding the work to be performed. You must contract with these individuals or organizations using your own department or school process. And here's some skills to just so you know like what to look for. There are certain skills you want the designer to have, which will help during the working process. So you want them to be detail oriented. With there being so much information to collect and keep, you want to be sure the talent can think past the obvious and more into the specifics that needs to be captured. You want them to be organized. With proposals having lots of moving parts and lots of members involved at times, it is important for the talent to keep things in order and easily accessible for everyone. Customer oriented, of course, you want those basic communication skills in order to manage the process and keep things moving forward and smoothly. Design savvy and illustrator. Most proposal graphics are usually created with illustrative techniques and need high-res vectorized file output, which we'll cover later on in this presentation. Also, you as the PI or the proposal manager or the working team, you want to provide specifics on the project. It is important to give the talent all the details they need to be successful. Also ask for past experiences and examples to get an idea if they're the right person you would like to work with you on your proposal. Time frame. Time is of the essence, especially for proposal submission. So you want to provide 2 deadlines, one for proposal submission and one for graphics complete. You want to plan time for meeting to scope work and have revisions. Generally, I meet with teams to discuss graphics about 1 to 2 weeks before sponsor deadline submission date. Graphics can sometimes have 0 to 3 iterations needed, so it's important to build in that time to do so and communicate that with the designer up front, so you have these expectations set in place. Provide content. So the designer cannot create your ideas. You need to provide the designer with what needed to be successful. So feel free to provide examples on what needs to be achieved that you have or from others for inspiration. Designer needs the exact wording for the graphic to be successful. One example that we'll get into later are organizational charts. So the designer cannot guess names and roles and figure out where to place people. We can only visually enhance the information and provide feedback if things are unclear to us. When meeting with the designer, bring in drafts, content, inspiration, so that collaboratively you can develop a game plan for graphic success. Just here's some takeaways. So make sure they're detail-oriented, organized, customer-oriented as well, design savvy illustrator, and provide specific examples to showcase of their work, past projects, etc. Also want to provide 2 deadlines, one for proposal submission and one for graphics complete. Also, you want to provide the content for the designer to be successful. They need the exact text, so bring in any text you may have to go in the graphic, any names you may have for organizational charts, any data that's specific. Just be sure to provide that as well, so they can just take that information and compose it into the drafts for you to view for your viewing purposes. All right, why are graphics a good way to enhance a proposal? Here we'll discuss some key items on enhancing so that you stand out amongst other proposals that are submitting to sponsors. Kinds of graphics. So there are charts, graphs, scientific illustrations, photos that are commonly used in proposals. To choose, you must know what type of content you have. Usually for data, we'll use charts and graphs. To show a process, we'll use illustration, graphic, maybe better for that. Also, we use photos when you want to show the space or people who are working in or with. As mentioned previously, you want to have early deadline. Make sure changes are beneficial to the proposal and aren't just because of your personal preference. Are the words and data correct before having the designer change something from blue to purple? Are you telling a good story? Introduce graphics in a summary and the narrative if needed. Does there need to be a key or a legend on the side beneath the graphic so the viewer understands what symbols may mean? So if you have a good graphic, you can reuse it for longevity. Initial organization of a graphic helps you write the proposal. It will allow you to not write so much in the narrative and to use graphics to illustrate the process. Again, not everything needs to be written. Make your proposal stand out amongst many other applicants. Graphics draw the reader in and keeps them engaged. It is important to practice good layout skills and use other examples as reference, such as magazines, newspapers, and journal articles. Often these will show good balance, continuity, and contrast. If the graphic is good, then it will help create the mood to showcase how good of a writer you are and how great your ideas are, which will help persuade the sponsor. Here's some takeaways. So you kind of want to know what kind of graphics are needed. Like if you have data, it's probably best to show that in a chart or a graph. If you have a process, you use some type of illustration. If something descriptive, you may be better off using like actual photos or photography of a lab or something you may have to bring in. You want to do it in time for iterations. Also, you want to plan your narrative around your graphics because it helps you think through the proposal. You have this draft and things drafted out. Could be on the back of a napkin or anything I've seen raw. So having just those rough drafts kind of helps you think through the proposal and how to also bring in the writing to it as well. All right, graphics enhances the viewer's focus on the page, and they will help to convey information quicker. So you want to read the rules because there are sometimes there are sponsor specific rules for submission that can affect graphics, such as what font and what font size. So be sure to share this information with the designer up front, just so you're not wasting time later on having them change things around. Don't make the mistake of having good graphics turn into a blurry eyesore once you put it onto your pages. Be sure the designer exports the files as high res to place onto the document. These usually are in PDF and sometimes PNG format. High res PDF graphics that are figures, charts, and graphs are called vector format in the design world. Just so your designer may know, you can just say you need it in vector format. Then they automatically know how to export that for you, and then it'll be nice and crisp on your page. So the mood affects the viewer's digestibility of your content. Colors have meaning behind them, such as red could usually mean importance or an error or something negative, and green may mean calm, positivity, or growth. And proposal, be sure that you're aware of readers' blindness as well, but use color to your advantage in your graphics. Again, be sure to read the rules from the sponsor and use clean or clear, sharp fonts for best readability. Graphics can be very small to fit on a page, so it's best to use Arial or similar fonts that is very easy to read in smaller sizes. If the graphic is good, then it can easily be used somewhere such as a presentation, a cover, or other means later that you may come back to as a reference. Sometimes graphics are used as building blocks or a template for a proposal later on as well. Some takeaways. So you want to communicate any rules, sponsor rules with the designer that may affect their work. It could be a font or sizes of the fonts. You want to bring colors in that may be beneficial to the narrative. Again, we talked about the different moves that colors can portray in the reader's mind. Also, innovative graphics will help with longevity, multi-use, which we'll also discuss a little bit later as well. So here I have some actual examples to how I visually enhance proposal graphics. So we'll go over a couple of examples of what I did to enhance them in the mockups. All right, so on the left is the original draft, and on the right is my enhanced version. You can see the original wasn't as unified, and it's a bit too simplistic. The way the original was made couldn't be good for like a multi-use type of thing. So by adding color, the team can then identify the different groups in the writing or PowerPoint, etc. Also in the original draft, the arrows are a bit of an eyesore and was simplified on the right, just a connection amongst parts just by having those shapes to create the movement itself as a unified piece. And again, we talked about innovative graphics for multi-purpose use. So I have the text blurred for privacy reasons of this proposal, but you can see how we're using the previous graphic for multi-use purpose. It kind of has become sort of an identifier or a logo. And here we are utilizing the colors to coordinate with the sections of the organizational chart. So each section had like a yellow, green, purple, blue, and then we divided up into different groups, and then everything matches now and coordinates within the graphic to keep things unified and kind of easy for the reader to understand what's going on with the graphic. On the original draft on the left, the three sections you can see don't have much contrast. Looks a bit washed out or bland, and it wouldn't strike much attention on the page. So on the right, I made the three sections stand out a bit by utilizing color and making text clear and easy to read. The text is very bold. You can clearly see which section is which, healthcare professional or clinical coordinator is very easily laid out. Whereas on the left, it's kind of like, it gets kind of lost within the icons. It's just not very bold and doesn't have much contrast. So the right side will kind of stand out on the page, kind of draw the viewers in, as we discussed earlier. All right, and then for this one, you can see on the left is the original. I kind of like made up some texts so as to provide some privacy for the proposal. So the left is the original, and it's, it's a lot going on. It's 3 different sections, and it looks kind of dated a little bit. Also, this team wanted to add photos, so it's like I had to find a way to do that creatively. So on the right is where, again, I kind of brought some unification to it all. I had different colors to showcase the 3 different columns. And then you can see like on those circles, I kind of blurred the images again for privacy. Those are the images they brought in to go at each group, just as a unified piece. Also, this can be used, it's going to be broken down to like something more simple later on they can use by stripping away the photos and then some of the names of the text in the middle. Then that kind of creates also, another logo in itself and giving it some identity and branding for multi-purpose use that could be used later on in different ways. Okay, this is another example, straight from a proposal. Of course, I've changed around the text, so it's to have some privacy, but this one is actually, the sponsor was NASA, so you kind of get a little more creative with the rules with this one. So for this one, you can see the first one, I have some text laid out on a page, and then I have like an overview graphic. You can see how beneath it, they kind of broke it down a little bit, like what's going on. That same graphic was also on the title page as kind of like the forefront, because it was an overview graphic. So they kind of want to draw attention to that. And then I have different objectives, objective 1, 2, 3, 4. I have those color coded as well. Because later on, you can see, again, they had a logo beneath that, had those 4 colors there as well. Of course, the logo, the name was the name of the proposal, the title for the proposal. And then within the proposal, they had a couple charts in there, and it's like really not much because there's a lot of text about, the text you see is kind of like the amount that was there originally. So you can see it's kind of a lot to work with when you have so much text, and it kind of limits the graphic design a little bit. So the PI and the team decided just to like keep things simple. And then we just found a way to like enhance it. So we then brought in those same colors for each objective to coordinate, just to make it stand out on the page a little bit. It's simple, but it kind of gets the reader's attention. The colors are good contrast as well. It's a nice balance as well with the colors. You can see I do have like a reddish in there, but it's not like a bold or like a negative red. It's sort of like a nice, tone of red. It's not too negative appealing or anything. It's just, it kind of blends in with the colors and provide contrast. So you can see how the colors come into play and how graphics are used. As a unification piece for a proposal, I have the 4 colors there. It kind of just coordinates and looks nice on a page to strike the viewer's attention, because they're going to be reading multiple other submissions as well. So you want yours to stand out. Little things do make a big difference just by adding a simple color to a chart. So you can see how that works out as well. All right, I'm gonna leave this quote here. When it comes to mastering skill, time is the magic ingredient. So a lot of times with proposals and submission deadline, you're fighting against time a lot. And then sometimes, you have graphics involved, and some things you can do yourself, some things you may not. So we have discussed why our graphics are a good way to enhance a proposal. We discussed what qualities make graphics to be successful in a proposal. We went over some examples to visually enhance proposal graphics. And then a lot of times, you're fighting against time. So we definitely want to bring in a designer. The designer has pretty much already done the time. They spent time, navigating and through coursework and schooling and a lot of tutorials just to master the craft. So you have the budget. You don't want to save some time and stress that you can, focus on writing or organizing your pages and things of that nature. You just want to just bring in a designer if possible. They can help you rethink things over. They can take a look at things for you. Also, they can just enhance your overall visual your proposal as well with graphics. So something to keep in mind. If you can, just go ahead and bring in a designer, because that will definitely help in the long run. It's definitely a good investment. It'll just make you stand out amongst your competition with submissions. All right, we have some questions. You can just feel free to leave those in the chat. And I also want to bring your attention to our next proposal on the 14th, which is budgeting for proposals. This will be our PDW number 8. All information you can find on our website, funding.asu.edu. You have my contact information. You can go through there as well. You can email me if you have any other questions, but this time you can also take questions in the chat. I'll be feel free to answer those, and then we can also stop recording now as well.
Thanks, Vince. I'll stop recording. There's a couple good things that I want to share as well.